Back, as you can see, we got quite a good score there with Heaven Benchmark, 65 frames per second averaging, and a score of 1,656. The minimum frames we got were about 30, which even on a highly intensive game, because no game will be as intensive as this, to be quite honest with you, that is still somewhat playable. And the maximum FPS of as high as 146 is excellent. If we go across to the temperature that these cards are hitting, is about 70 degrees. But you must take into account that there's no fans on this. This is a test bench, so there's absolutely no fans. So that kind of score there, and it's a very hot day outside, so that kind of score we get, that kind of temperature that we get in there is actually very good. Very good. It shows that these reference coolers, even though it's factory overclock, runs quite consistently well throughout the whole benchmark. What we're going to do now is we're going to run a 3-mark Vantage benchmark, and everybody obviously wants to see that. And we're going to come back to the score of that one as well, and we can discuss that. And then we're going to move across to the GTX480. And we're back with the 3-mark Vantage score, as you can see over here. And we've got a really, really good score there of 29,272, which is actually extremely good for SLI setup. But you must take into account that we are running the processor at 4 GHz, and Vantage is very CPU intensive as well, so that obviously played a big role in that score that we've seen over there. But so we got the two numbers of the two benchmarks we wanted to do for today's testing. So now we're going on to the GTX480, and we're going to do 2 quick benches on the 480, and we're going to come back with those results as well, and we can do a quick comparison between the two. So guys, and we're back with the GTX480, as you can see right here, going away at it. It's running the Unigine benchmark, and we're trying to see how it's going here. If we can zoom in on the FPS there. If you remember previously, the GTX460 at this point was hitting nearly in the 60s. So what we're seeing here is maybe about an 8 FPS difference. So it's actually doing a little bit worse, but this is to be expected because the GTX460s really do scale well in SLI. But we have to wait for final results to give you an exact answer of what the final results will be. But we'll be back with that. GTX480's Heaven benchmark score. As you can see, if we can zoom in there, got FPS of 53.1, and the score is 1338. If we had to compare it to the GTX460, it's done quite a bit worse. But that I was sort of expecting that. But like I said, it's this drive specific. This Heaven benchmark is obviously optimized for SLI, where like I said, some games would not be optimized for it. So it really is a toss of the coin. But over here, the GTX460 is clearly the winner there. And now we're going to go. If we have a look here, we can have a look at this Inno3D GTX480. It's 100% stock. It's 701 on the clock and 924 times 2 on the memory, and the shaders all stock. So you must also take into account the GTX460 is factory overclocked by EVGA. Now we're just going to do a quick benchmark on Vantage to see if there's any difference, and we'll come back with a conclusion. Just got back with the GTX480 score on 3-month Vantage. As you can see, it got 19,817, where the GTX460 got 29,000 odd, which is quite a drastic difference. And I actually don't know what more to say about that. I'm saying it's extremely disappointing for the GTX480 to get that score, but it just proves to you the difference between the GF100 series and the GF104 series is really far better architecture. If they had to use this architecture in the GTX480, it would have been the card of the year, but because they didn't, I really struggle to recommend paying the kind of prices you pay for the GTX480 over that. Talking about the price of the GTX480, you're looking at paying about 4,800 Rand for the Inno3D GTX480, and if you calculate it, you're paying 2,225 Rand for the GTX460, so it works out cheaper and it performs far better. But like I said, if the game does not support SLI, you're not going to get the features and the performance of SLI of the two cards, so it'll make the one card redundant. That's all we have time for today. Next week we're going to do a review on some overclocking of these two cards, and mainly the overclocking of the GTX460 and how well it overclocks, because it's actually a killer overclocker. So we're going to do some overclocking on those and see the difference between the result we got last week as opposed to next week with the overclocking. And please be sure to check our website at iKonic.co.za. Thank you.